So I thought I would make this video a little bit more interesting than my usual videos, because we're covering Dreamcast guy again and it might be getting just a bit repetitive. So I thought every time he mentions Xbox is dead in this video, I would take a shot. I've got some vodka, I don't have a shot glass, but I can make do with what I have. But the only reason why I'm doing this is because we are incredibly close to 2,000 subs. Because if we get there, that means that I know that you like it when I do silly stuff in videos, and then I can do those silly things on stream as well. So anyway, let's continue and go look at the video.
What's up, gamers? Dreamcast guy here, and today we're talking about Xbox.
Playing fast and loose, are we, Dreamcast guy? That was a quick jump scare from your Xbox controller. Quite impressed. It wouldn't be a Dreamcast guy video if he didn't show the controller of a platform that he's talking about.
Because the bad news just does not stop. I mean, this has got to be one of the worst weeks ever for Team Green, but I wanted to talk about it today because currently...
Bro, Xbox had a terrible week last week. Now it's Sony's turn. They had Concord release, and that's an absolute garbage game that made them waste a bunch of money. Then you have a price increase in Japan, which is honestly insane. It should be going down in price, but I don't know, I guess you do you, more of an incentive to get a PC. And apparently, they want to put the Final Fantasy games on Xbox to make up for lost revenue on PlayStation, which I don't blame them. Everyone should get access to these games, so I guess it's a win-win for everyone. You get to play them on PlayStation, you get to play them on Xbox. But I can assure you, if that is true, and this is only a statement from the developers I think, it hasn't been officially confirmed anywhere, but that's pretty good, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of salt from it.
My most hyped Xbox exclusive, I guess you got to put exclusive in quotes because everything's coming to everything, but
I don't really see a need to mention the word exclusive in this, as most games aren't even exclusive anymore, so I don't know why you had to mention it. Just a bit of a nitpick from me. Nothing too special. But personally, you could have cut that out and saved you like a couple seconds. I don't know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist when I say stuff.
the next big Xbox game that personally I am 10 out of 10 hyped for has been Avowed. I think the idea of like a colorful Skyrim, I mean, it feels like a little bit of a retro RPG, but in a way that gets me very, very excited. Well, today they released a bunch of new gameplay that doesn't look very good and has the internet confused. They've announced that it's going to run like crap on Xbox consoles, and for some reason I'm getting choked up, and some other stuff. Let's get into all of it because it's bafflingly bad. I hope you're having a great day, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. So literally, just in the last 4 days, we've had Indiana Jones announced for the PlayStation 5, which...
I don't know if that's just me, but I believe using MBG as a source of information is a bit of an L. I wouldn't do that. He's a fanboy, remember?
Caused a lot of Xbox people to immediately want to boycott the platform. Phil Spencer said, yep, there will no longer be console exclusives. This is the part, though, that definitely stuck in my mind, which is Avowed being hard-locked to 60 FPS. I'm sorry, I keep saying that because 60 FPS, in my opinion, feels like it should be an option. It should be the minimum.
30 FPS should not even exist anymore. 60 FPS should be the standard. Anything less is unacceptable, especially when these consoles were marketed on it. That's an absolute based opinion. I agree with you on that one, Dreamcast guy, as you were about to say that. Like, I don't really get what the issue is, as both the Xbox Series X and the PS5 are relatively the same in performance. Is it the dev kit? Is it the console optimization that may be the issue? What is the biggest problem that's holding these companies back from making an actual functioning game at 60 FPS? Why is it so hard for them to do that? It should be the standard. Stop making games 30 FPS. You marketed this platform, this generation, on 60 FPS being the new standard. And yet, we're yet to see that as a standard.
But, so, over the course of this week, apparently a bunch of Xbox podcasters, a bunch of YouTubers and stuff have had a chance to not only play Avowed, and we're going to take a look at some gameplay clips here in a second, they've also had a chance to interview the directors, the developers. Now, this is Lord Cognito and Mr. Matty. These guys both rock, but personal friends of mine, extremely good. They're both part of this podcast called Defining Duke. Now, they sat down and said, okay, the Xbox Series X is the most powerful gaming console. What are we looking at? What kind of performance? And they said, all that matters is 30 FPS.
Okay. Why are they not fired? Why have they not changed their priorities on this project? Nobody wants 30 FPS. People want 60 FPS. Your priority, your goal, should not be 30 FPS. Why is that a thing? Why have you not been fired from your job? Especially when these consoles were marketed as 60 FPS or higher. Anyway, Dreamcast guy hasn't mentioned the death of Xbox yet, or Xbox being dead, but anyway, I'm just gonna take a shot. Ugh. Oh, god damn. That's a strong aftertaste. Oh well, I'm not mixing it with anything.
All we ever tried to get it to do is target 30 FPS since the beginning of development. Because it's a first-person game, you don't need 60 FPS because it's single player. Now,
stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap. No bullshit, bro.
Ain't no way they just said it's a single player game, it's okay for 30 FPS. That's not a good reason. That's not a good reason. Why? No, don't do that. Bad. You should be fired. Whoever made you say that should be fired. Maybe even executed. I am thankful that I have moved completely to PC, that I do not have to sit there and accept 30 FPS, and the game being single player is not a good enough excuse to make said game 30 FPS. And I don't know why you are allowed to continue developing or see dramatic change to the game because you choose to do this. 60 FPS should be the standard. You know what? He still hasn't mentioned Xbox is dead, so I'm just gonna go take another shot anyway. Not because I want to drink some more drink, you know, like a good man, a good Australian would do. I would never do such a thing. How dare you accuse me of it? Ugh. Peak.
And I have to just say, I 100% agree to it. I have been predominantly gaming on PC now, and I definitely agree with the people that for years have been telling me, once you see a bunch of stuff over 60 FPS, a bunch of stuff that's running at 120 frames a second or 200 frames a second and stuff like that, it's not even about higher frames, it's that it does create a smoother performance. And when you start to see games that run down at 30 FPS or when they have, problems with performance.
You don't need to explain to us how FPS works. We know how it works. You don't need to spend half of the video telling us about how it's bad. We understand. Get to the point. We understand how jarring 30 FPS is if you've constantly been using 60 to 100 to 140 FPS. That's what I sit around when I play War Thunder. And trust me, it's very jarring when I go to play emulated games that don't have a 60 FPS patch.
So they're running at 15 FPS or something. It sucks. It is immersion breaking. Xbox Studios seemingly is incapable of adding a performance option. This isn't rocket science. Everyone in the industry has this figured out but them. Yeah, I like this tweet because I feel like it is true. It is baffling that Xbox is the only people that haven't figured this out. Every single PlayStation exclusive runs 60 FPS or has a 60 FPS option.
I won't deny that. I'm sure a lot more PlayStation games have a 60 FPS patch or just have 60 FPS at the start, but they always have it at a very big cost, mainly when it comes to the resolution of the game. A game that I constantly use as an example in my videos when talking about stuff like this, Final Fantasy 16, had the biggest issue out of all them, because its resolution constantly sat around 720p and never hit anything higher, trying to maintain that 60 FPS.
The people that are like, oh, they're still working on it. Oh, it doesn't matter right now. They'll fix it post-launch. I just don't trust Xbox to do that. Xbox shuts studios down. They shut freaking the people.
If you really care about these studios, why didn't you make a big bitch and complain like you do with Xbox doing it, when Sony does it with something like Bungie? Of course, they're not shutting down the studio, they're just rolling it into them. Because if you really do care about these well-being of these studios, I'm sure you would have complained about that as much as you do about the studio behind Redfall and whoever else they shut down. Just something to point out.
People that made Redfall, they shut them down, Arcane Austin, before they had a chance to finish the game. So I don't care how broken they launch it. If the game is not in some sort of playable state at release, in my opinion, there's a good chance it's never going to be playable.
I don't disagree with you. Microsoft has always had a really bad track record recently, constantly releasing broken and unfinished games. But so does Sony. They don't do it as often, but they most certainly do it. Look at Spider-Man 2 as a great example. So you can't just necessarily point at Microsoft and say it's them and them only that has that issue. Pretty much everyone has that issue, as it's become a standard in gaming. Release the game now, finish it later. Anyway, I think I'm just gonna take another 2 shots, why not? Oh my. Ugh. Amazing.
Like, everybody keeps posting this old hilarious quote. This is Aaron Greenberg, the head of Xbox marketing, and he said, like, before it came out, they were talking about specifications. They're doing like a Q&A on Twitter, and they said 60 FPS will be our standard output, but the architecture allows us to support up to 120 FPS. Now, people post this constantly because here we are 4 years into the generation. 4 years into the generation, and at this point, Xbox games are still, if anything, running worse. We still have not gotten any Xbox games that run at 60 FPS.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't most of the games that Xbox have eventually get a 60 FPS patch? The one that comes to mind that I remember off the top of my head would be Starfield with its 60 FPS patch for console, and I believe Redfall also got a 60 FPS patch. If it didn't happen before the studio was shut down. I don't know of any other examples, as, like I've said many times, I don't use the platform anymore, I'm a PC player now, I couldn't really care. But to say that they don't do it is just flat out wrong.
What are we doing here? Like, what is the point in buying an Xbox? What's the point in being Team Green if the games look bad and run bad on Xbox, but they're actually halfway decent on PC and PS5? Here's the other part of it. Honestly, I think this stuff is about to start coming to PlayStation 5 Pro, and Xbox gamers are going to have to sell their Xbox. I think, truly, I'm dead serious about this. I think that if you are a fan of Microsoft Game Studios, the definitive edition of these games is going to be on PlayStation and...
Okay, he didn't necessarily say Xbox is dead, but that's still worth another shot. I'll do that in a second. How can you say Xbox is dead, and then watch them make a bunch of money and continue to exist year on year after saying that they're dead multiple times? If they're dead, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. They wouldn't have made an acquisition like Activision Blizzard. How are they dead? How are they losing? Of course, they don't have exclusives. Exclusives aren't a thing anymore. Nobody likes them. They're a thing of the past. And I don't really get how you could say that PlayStation is the definitive way to play, when on Xbox you can just use Game Pass to get the games cheaper if you buy the Ultimate for a month. Or you use key sites to get an even cheaper key on the Ultimate version of Game Pass. If you're looking to save money, that's what I recommend you do. Well, drink time. Ugh.
Not even Xbox. Like, here's a clip I saw yesterday that cracked me up. They recently released a bunch of updates for Starfield. The expansion is coming out relatively soon. And yeah, surprise, the game runs absolutely terrible. Check it out. It hard crashes right here. I tried the new Starfield update as expected. It's running absolutely terrible. Look at this.
Okay, maybe this is a bit of a hot take, but I recently played Starfield again, like less than 2 days ago. I want to say that I've actually played the game and actually completed it. You know, I want to at least say that I've done that, and then I can uninstall it. And then maybe, just maybe, I want to try the DLC. But for the most part, performance is fine. And then again, I'm on a really high-end PC, so I should be having good performance. And glitches? I don't know, I've seen a couple containers glitch into each other, that's pretty much it. I haven't seen much else. That's just my experience. But then again, it's a Bethesda game, everyone has different problems, and you never know what you're gonna see when you walk into a new room. But I'm slowly and surely suffering through the game, and I'll eventually complete it. Eventually, whenever I want to get on it.
You know, Bethesda games glitching out is not a surprise. It's that it still runs so terrible. Performance mode or visual mode, Starfield runs like trash on the Xbox Series X. Constant freezes. Like, this is whenever I explore the procedurally generated planets, it's beyond frustrating and the glitches don't help.
I absolutely agree that this is an issue that shouldn't have been there, even after all this time, nearly being a whole year since its release, and even at launch this shouldn't have been an issue with any game. I feel like games should be held up to legal action, and companies should get legal action put against them if they do something like this and release a buggy, broken game. I don't care who it is and who does it. It's really stupid that they can get away with it and nothing ever does happen to them.
Of course they run into bugs and crashes that will perpetuate his negative stereotype. Look, man, it's just bad. Even modders couldn't make the cars look good. Like, it's frustrating to me that, honestly, Xbox just sucks because this game actually looked like it had potential. I like Avowed because, to me, it does look like Skyrim.
I don't get how you can make an issue out of this. You have a PC, you could just play it on PC as it will probably release there day one. So you don't have to deal with the 30 FPS like the console players have to. Of course, it shouldn't be accepted that 30 FPS should be there, but you still have that option if you have a PC to get better performance, so you can make this a non-issue if you so desire, Dreamcast guy, but you don't for some reason. Of course, that could be a signal of it having terrible performance on PC, which usually most games do these days. It's pretty much a standard, and given that most games can't be optimized for PC because developers are lazy, but it's really just pick your poison. Which one are you gonna take? Is it gonna be console or PC? I'm gonna do it on PC. I probably won't purchase the game as I have no interest in Avowed.
Paying for Xbox games feels like beta access. It feels like, okay, I'm hoping these games eventually get fixed. I'm hoping these games are eventually good. It sucks that officially launched stuff by Microsoft Game Studios feels early access.
Dreamcast guy, this is not just a Microsoft issue. Sony also does this. Of course, they don't do it as much as Microsoft, but if you look at games like Spider-Man 2, they've clearly done it in the past. It's a standard for the gaming industry that everyone is just going to do it regardless. Whether they want to or not, they can fix their game later. It's just how people in AAA studios approach their games. Even indies are starting to do that depending on how big their scope was for the game.
Frustrates me because we're definitely at a point where Xbox just feels like they've actually given up, where their own exclusives, their own projects, their own marquee big AAA stuff feels unfinished. It feels early access. And to me, that is pathetic. And I kind of hate it. Like, you could say, oh, PlayStation isn't releasing enough. Sony isn't actually pushing their own brands. Where's Bloodborne? Where's new stuff? Where's Uncharted and stuff like that? And I think those are fair critiques. But my thing is that at least the PS5 runs games. Like, I guess I'm perpetually stuck on the fact that I like Avowed's look. I like the vibe of it, but if it's going to run terrible on Xbox, why the hell did I buy an Xbox day one?
Bro, I'm mad. He was just about to mention Xbox being dead. That would have been a free shot right there, but he didn't. He didn't do it once this video. He's only slightly suggested at it in this video. I'm honestly gonna cry. I wasted all this time and some precious, fine drink for nothing. I mean, it wasn't a waste. I was drinking it, of course. Like, I could have saved that for a game night where me and the boys got down, played a game, and every time we died, we take a shot. Most of us would have died of alcohol poisoning, depending on what game. Fingers crossed for Honor or War Thunder, we can make it work. But I can assure you, that would have been a fun time. But I decided to waste it on a Dreamcast guy video. You only have yourself to blame for buying an Xbox day one. You are the same guy that constantly pays for Game Pass, and you say to yourself, at least when it comes to both PlayStation Plus and Game Pass, that you feel like you're wasting your money, and yet you choose to never cancel these subscriptions. You are just a blind consumer. You aren't really the one to talk. So anyway, 2 customary shots for the end of the video, and that will be a bit fun. God damn. Well, we did pretty good this video. We took about 75% of a quarter, so I'm not going to complain that we didn't have our fair share of drink. But anyway, I'll see you all in the next video, and the next video will probably be a Harmon Smith video, as he's had some interesting takes on Black Myth Wukong, and maybe we can go laugh at that all together. So anyway, see you then.